and welcome to the inauguration of the new Master of Science in Mechanical Engineering for Sustainability. I'm Niccolò Baldanzini, and I'm the coordinator of this new Master. This Master of Science is a new addition to the educational offer of the University of Florence. And for this reason, since this is the first academic year, we have decided to kick it off with an event on the topic of the Master, that is sustainability. So today we will have a few speeches about sustainability to frame this topic within the context of mechanical engineering. Without much ado, I introduce the first speaker, who is the Vice President of the University of Florence for Education, Professor Ersilia Menesini. She's online, and he will...
Can you see me? Hello? Hi, Niccolò. Yeah. Can you see me?
You are online.
Okay, great. So I will be the first. I will start. Probably Professor Facchini still joining us. Okay, great. Okay, just few words as a vice rector or deputy for teaching at the University of Florence. First of all, I want to give you the greetings and on behalf of our rector, Professor Alessandra Petrucci, I wish to welcome all the presents at the University of Florence and specifically the new students that are recently enrolled in the courses. It's a great pleasure for me to open this new course of mechanical engineering for sustainability. We are really happy about contributing with new academic trainings and courses to professional development of new engineers skilled and competent in addressing the new challenges of the society. As you know, there are several emergencies nowadays in the society, among which the topics of the climate change, sustainable development, sustainable growth are relevant. And we are all trying to address these goals or sustainable developmental goals through our effort and our commitment. So it's really relevant in this regards that the course of mechanical engineering and sustainability will work in this direction. Our university is highly committed to pursue, as I said, the developmental sustainable goals and to prepare new generation for the future challenges of the society. Your course is also highly relevant for the internationalization. As you know, the course is in English, and our university is also committed to develop further the level of internationalization of our courses, and we are really happy that you can easily fit into some of the main programs that we have in terms of internationalization, which is the UniWell. UniWell, as you know, is the European University of Wellbeing and is one of the alliance that has been selected by the European Commission under the Erasmus Plus program in 2020 and is trying to pursue the well-being of people. And nowadays, pursuing the well-being of people mean that we have to address with some of the main challenges, as we said before, that we have the climate change, new disease, the problem of populism, or new approach to economical and developmental growth. So this means that you need a holistic and integrated interdisciplinary approach to higher education, to research and innovation that, of course, it's highly relevant also for you as future engineers. The fact that your course will be integrated into the UniWell approach provide also to the students fruitful opportunities to collaborate and to be trained abroad. So your course really fits into new plans, a new project of development of our university and of global education as a whole, and will prepare you as a future students or future professionals on topics that are highly relevant in terms of new types of energy and new types of mobility or sustainable mobility, topics that are really important for the future of our society and our planet, we can say. So all in all, I can say that your teachers and you as new students of new course will be the protagonists of this new area and will follow up and of new area of planning and designing educational training at the University of Florence. So that's why I think it's very important for us to follow up you in terms of outcomes at the end of the course and possibly also after the placement and the professional careers that you will develop. So again, thanks for starting this new project with us, and I wish you a very fruitful and very important educational training as a starting point for the course in this year and for the future years. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Ersilia, for your kind words and encouraging words. And now I introduce the second speaker, Professor Bruno Facchini, the head of the Department of Industrial Engineering, which is the department that mainly promoted this new Master of Science. Bruno?
Okay, thank you very much, Niccolò, for your kind presentation. I would like to say welcome to the people here in that room, because I think it's very important to meet each other for this important day. Obviously, the course already starting last September, but today is the moment to be here and to see each other, to contribute for this new idea. Industrial engineering probably as one of the main responsible for the, to be honest, for the today situation. So, and I think in our department thinks to be very very apply for this mission to change something, to change our view of the future. And so sustainability is the key words for this approach. And so we need to rethink again our mission inside of research, inside of production, and inside our department, to be able to fight this critical situation for the future of our planet. So we need to decline also this challenge in terms of industrial production, energy management. This is the key elements of our new proposal in terms of master degree in mechanical engineering and sustainability. So I think this is a key element. We are already spent some time waiting me, because we are in the traffic, and it is a clear example of our incapability to manage sustainability. And so I would like to thanks all together again, and I'm obviously leave my position for other speaker, but probably more interesting and more close to the. But it's our mission, and we want to contribute for this future challenge. Okay.
Thank you very much, Bruno. And now the next speaker, it's a pleasure to introduce Mr. Paolo Noccioni, President of Nuovo Pignone Hughes, who will share with us his perspective to sustainability.
Thank you, Niccolò. Buongiorno, good morning. A pleasure for me to be here today for the inauguration of this master in mechanical engineering for sustainability that is going also, let's say, to be delivered in English, I understood.
Yeah.
So for us, for our company, it's a great initiative, I have to say. It contains some elements that myself also as an engineer, I consider very, very important for future engineers. I see attention to innovation. I mean, this is something new. I mean, in the proposal that the University of Florence has, I think. I see, let's say, the focus on sustainability, that to be honest is a critical component of, let's say, the challenge that we have in front of us about energy transition. And I see also, let's say, as a last aspect, this openness to global collaboration and confrontation that also is critical, let's say, for the engineers of the future. These three elements, innovation, open to confrontation all around the world, and also the focus on sustainability are all, let's say, ingredients that companies like us consider crucial, let's say, for the future. And for that, I want to, for the launch of this important initiative, I want to thank the University of Florence and the Department of Industrial Engineering. And so thank you to have launched this important new master. As you heard a moment ago, I am Paolo Noccioni. I am the president of Nuovo Pignone. Nuovo Pignone is an historical industrial reality of Italy, I would say. I mean, we have 180 years of experience and I would say successes in turbo machinery. We are now part of the Baker Hughes group, that is a technology company in the energy sector. We are, let's say, a global company. We have a global presence. Actually, we have operation in more than 120 countries around the world. Now, as an energy technology company, we are committed to drive the energy transition towards zero emission by 2050. And let's say this is a commitment, even a personal commitment that we have, and we are working on two parallel tracks. On one side, we are actually, let's say, working to reduce our own emissions that are coming from our own operations, with the target, let's say, to reduce them by 50% in 2030 and let's say to go to zero by 2050. But even more important, on the other side, we are investing in and working actually to develop new technologies in order to accelerate the path toward, let's say, decarbonization. You will hear more from my colleague, Leonardo Baldassarre, in a moment about the technologies, but here we go from, let's say, more efficient solution in order to reduce the consumption of energy on one side. Then we are developing solutions on energy storage. We are working on electrification. We are actually working on, let's say, to have a better integration of turbo machinery with renewables. I mean, we are on hydrogen, and we are also developing solutions about carbon capture, utilization, and storage. Now, I think that you might concur with me that decarbonizing the world, and let's say not only the energy sector, but I would say also the industrial sector by 2050 is a big challenge. I think, I mean, you probably agree with me that this is probably the most important challenge that the world is facing since many years. Now, I have to say that we have some bricks today, as Nuovo Pignone, for instance, just to give you some numbers. I mean, we developed our first hydrogen reciprocating compressor more than 100 years ago. Actually, it was in 1915 when we designed and produced the first hydrogen reciprocating compressor. Leonardo, that is actually our leader of compression, could tell you that our, let's say, hydrogen centrifugal compressors have been developed in the 60s of last century. So, I mean, our experience is pretty important. We have more than 2,500, let's say, compressors today running, actually pumping, compressing hydrogen around the world. Our first hydrogen, 100% hydrogen fueled gas turbine goes back. Actually, it was delivered to 2008. It was delivered in 2008. So not only, let's say, just designed. So as I said, I mean, we have good bricks, let's say, good elements from where to start. But in front of us, there is, let's say, a big technology effort that we need to do. And not only, I would say, technology only. And let's say, because to make the energy and the industrial sector sustainable, we will have, let's say, the need to develop new solutions and new technologies, to develop new competencies that, to be honest, we don't have yet today. In this context, let's say, in front of this important challenge, at least, let's say, in our company, we are fully convinced that to be successful, we will need, let's say, a strong system of collaboration among all the involved players, starting from the institution on one side and up to the private sector on the other side. And in this system of collaboration, the universities and the schools in general and the research centers, but the university, to me, are at the center of this system. The university can play, let's say, a very, very important role. To win the decarbonization challenge, we will need to develop new competencies and skills. And this is where actually the university can make a big difference. I have to say that we have, let's say, an historical, actually, historically, we have been very close to the Florence University. We were talking also, let's say, a moment ago with some of the professors here. The collaboration is strong today, was strong in the past, is strong today. I think it's a collaboration that has been well lubricated through years, let's say, of projects done together. But more than looking, let's say, at the past, we have also to look together at the future. And that's why when I heard about this new master with, let's say, focus on sustainability, I was very pleased, to be honest. This is exactly what companies like us, we are looking. So it's exactly what a technology company like us is looking for. So working to better prepare the engineers of tomorrow with competences that will be crucial, let's say, to win this battle on energy transition is probably one of the most important elements, let's say, that people like me, a company like me, but the society, the entire society, I think, are looking for. So I think, and I'm going to conclude because probably I spent already too much time. I think that we all agree that we are living a pivotal phase, let's say, a phase of big transformation. You probably also, let's say, may concur with me that the challenge that we have in front of us, this transition, is at a global scale. You cannot win this battle, let's say, just playing within a country. Even within Europe, it's not enough. This battle has to be, let's say, done globally. So you may understand that scientists and engineers, let's say, today and in the future, will need to collaborate, will need to confront, and we need even to compete, let's say, on a global scale. And that's why, let's say, having a master in English, I think, is a very good idea. Because, let's say, doing this masters in English, even speaking today in English, let's say, brings you out of our comfort zone and better prepare all of us, let's say, to this global confrontation that tomorrow will be of crucial importance, let's say, to be able actually to be successful during this energy transition that we have in front of us. Remember, confrontation, let's say, with different cultures, confrontation with the diversity of thoughts is a good thing. I mean, more ideas are good. Diversity is a value. So, I mean, having this master delivered in English is also a value to better prepare you, let's say, to this fight and to this battle. With that, I'd like actually to thank again the university to have, let's say, launched this very good initiative. And I want also to thank in advance the students. I think the first course that is actually, let's say,
indeed.
I mean, they started in these days because, I mean, you have, I think, done, let's say, a good selection, and I want to say you good luck for your future. So thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And now I would like to introduce the next speaker, Mr. Eric Ponthieu. He is an EU official since 1994, and he has followed and contributed to the development of concept of sustainability within the European Commission. And today he is head of a unit of the section on sustainable development of the European Economic and Social Committee. Eric, the floor is yours.
Grazie Niccolò, and buongiorno a tutti. Good morning to everyone. It's an immense pleasure to be addressing the Firenze University, and in particular the students of the master program on mechanical engineering for sustainability. Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm going to be concurring largely with what has been said by the previous speakers. I'm going to build upon what they said, essentially to develop more the, let's say, the global, the political, and the cultural aspects related to promoting sustainability. So today, what I want to do with you is to give you 5 reasons why sustainability is a must for you as tomorrow's managers, whatever the kind of responsibility that you are going to be exercising, be it in a public or private organizations, small or large. You will need to embrace sustainability fully in your own management responsibilities. And this is what I would like to demonstrate to you today in this presentation. So these 5 reasons why I feel sustainability is a must are the following. First, and we have heard already a lot about this from the previous speaker, we are facing immense risk of different natures. And responding to the threats, in anticipating management practices implies that we are taking on board sustainability considerations and approaches. That's the first point. Second point, we have an obligation. We have an international obligation because we co-decided, all countries, all UN countries, to have an agenda for sustainability aiming at 2030. This has been decided in 2015, in September, in New York, and we need to commit on this agenda. Third, we are, by taking sustainability into consideration in the management practices, we are taking the precautionary measures in order to limit the risk in terms of stability, in terms of security, and in terms of resilience on the long term for organizations alone, but also for countries and regions themselves. So this is the best counter and buffer against risk of security and resilience. The fourth reason is about the social benefits. The social benefits are immense if we are able to create with the whole of society an enthusiasm for anything that relates to sustainability, like, for example, the energy transition or the climate protection. And if we are making of this a collective endeavor towards more resilient and sustainable societies. Fifth, last but not least, the economic benefits, which are huge in terms of innovation. We need new technologies, we need new social innovation, and we need also to protect ourselves vis-à-vis the many negative aspects of a system of economic growth which is only directed towards the economic pillar of sustainable development. So these are the 5 reasons, and I will explicit one by one each of these reasons why I believe sustainability is clearly a must for you in the years to come. First, the risk. We have heard a lot about it already. Let me just say that yesterday, at the opening session of the COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt, the Secretary General of the UN, Antonio Guterres, has had this sentence. He said, "We are on a highway to climate hell with our foot on the accelerator." We have an agreement that was decided in Paris in 2015 to mitigate climate emissions, greenhouse gas emissions, in order to not exceed 1.5 degrees C of excess of temperature by the end of this century. Unfortunately, because of many reasons, we are heading towards 2.8 degrees C. The inability of governments to decide ambitious measures, bold measures to protect the whole society and to take on board the sustainability approaches and practices is one of the key reasons why we are heading towards this excessive temperature of 2.8 degrees C. Biodiversity loss, often neglected, but very key, as almost 60% of the crops that we are cultivating are depending to a certain extent on pollinator insects. We are living the 6th extinction of species, and nothing is done. Nothing serious is done by the countries to limit this extinction. Third example of the kind of threats that we are facing, the resource overconsumption, very key for mechanical engineering. This is a business, this is a sector of activity that requires a lot of raw materials. But these raw materials, we are exhausting them at a high speed. This has been evidenced by many reports. And this has been said already a long time ago, 50 years ago, by the Club of Rome in 1972, in this iconic report, which is The Limit to Growth, which was already saying that in a world of continuous increase of the population and continuous increase of the economic growth, inevitably, one of the consequences will be the depletion of Earth's limited resources. So we need really to be addressing this subject also with a high degree of importance. Another perspective is provided by the CEOs of large businesses in the World Economic Forum. They are also known as the Davos Forum. They are meeting every year in this posh ski resort in Switzerland, but they're also very concerned about the global risk. Each year, they are issuing a global risk report, which is based on surveys of different kinds of stakeholders. There are 5 risks that are being listed in the annual World Economic Forum risk report: economic risk, environmental risk, geopolitical risk, societal risk, and technological risk. Without surprise, the risks that are the most considered as to be the most threatening for the livelihood of our society are of an environmental nature. You can see the green colors here. 5 risks out of 10 are considered to be the most severe: climate action failure, extreme weather, biodiversity loss, human environmental damage, natural resources crisis. Connected to these environmental risks, inevitably come the social risk, because of course the environmental risks are creating problems of livelihood, places that are becoming not healthy for a living, infectious diseases, livelihood crisis, and a very important issue that we are going to be dealing with in the years to come with a higher and higher intensity, which is the social cohesion erosion in our societies. We are living in more and more fragmented societies, and this is correlated to the risk of an environmental nature in particular. And you can see that at the bottom of the list, we have an economic risk, death crisis, inevitably. Think of COVID and the public money which has been poured to salvage the societies, and the geoeconomic and geopolitical risk that are going to become much more important in next year assessment, due in particular to the war in Ukraine. Why have I been spotting to the World Economic Forum report? Simply to tell you that the business sector, the big corporates, are becoming increasingly aware and concerned about the environmental and social risks that are faced by the whole of society. It is limiting potentially, if we are not acting decisively, their capacity for developing new business. So we need to be taking these sustainability considerations into mind and to embrace them into the decision making at each level of the society. I will skip this one, just not to spend too much time on this, and move to the second reason. Second reason, as I said, we have an agenda on sustainable development. It has been decided in 2015 at the UN. All countries of the UN subscribe to this agenda. It's an agenda for sustainability, but it's also an agenda for peace and security, with a strong social component that can be easily, let's say, understood via the social motto, which is leaving no one behind. The 17 goals of the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda are very diverse. They are concerning the 3 pillars of sustainable development: social, economic, and environmental. In relation to mechanical engineering, let me spot 3 SDGs that are of prime concern to the business in mechanical engineering. There is, of course, the SDG 8, decent work and economic growth, but also the SDG 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure, and also the SDG 12, responsible consumption and production. And if you look beyond the business itself, you have to look at the consequences and the impacts of the business, like climate action, SDG 13, the environmental risk, SDG 14, 15. And I wouldn't like to miss SDG 17 on partnerships for the goals, because this is an SDG which is key for exactly doing what the previous speaker said: cooperating with others, developing cooperative approach, not only at company level, but also at country level and at the international level. This is one of the key recipes for putting in place meaningful sustainability measures. As I said, 3 pillars: economic, society, and environment, but also the agenda cares for the institutional pillar. We need to be placing good sustainability measures and approaches at each level of the society, from the country level down to the regional level, the city level, the town level, but also the community level, at the level of neighborhood and small communities, which are very active in order to promote sustainability at the local level. The three pillars that are very often known as the three main ones have to be also facing and undergoing, let's say, practices that are respecting key principles like integration. This was also said by the previous speakers. We need to be putting together in a consistent manner the different sectors of activities. Mechanical engineering, of course, has to tie in with other sectors of the activity outside, within the same country, outside the country, internationally. Universality is also a key value of the SDGs. These SDGs, the 17 SDGs, are applicable to all countries, not only the developing countries, as it was the case for the Millennium Development Goals. Here, it is applicable to all. And last but not least, but I said it already, participation is key. Without creating a sense of collective effort, we will not be able to succeed. Let me now move to the positive impacts that could be generated if we are taking up sustainability in the right way at organizational and country level. First, reason to believe strongly into sustainability is the capacity of creating resilient and secure system in the long term. It's not a 100% guarantee, but it's a safeguard, it's a buffer. Let me take a counter example, the example of the war in Ukraine. The situation was somehow predictable. Annexation of Crimea in 2014 and our heavy EU dependence on Russian natural gas that we have co-created with the Russians. We have just decided to buy natural gas in Russia because it was cheaper compared to other sources of supply that were available to us. So we are responsible for having created this dependency to a certain extent. Now that the war has started and the consequences of the war are evident and are affecting each and every actor of the society, we have to live with a high energy price, which is impacting the whole economy, and in particular the manufacturing sector, a high inflation, which is putting at risk the social cohesion and the economic development. And we are forced to take measures that we don't like to take, just to buffer, just to protect citizens and companies, like returning temporarily to the use of coal, or creating new dependencies with other gas suppliers like US or Qatar for the LNG. All this is going in the right direction? No. It's our fault partly not to have anticipated that this dependency on Russian natural gas was wrong. And let's be clear, this has happened in the region of the world which is the most advanced with regard to climate protection. The EU is often claiming itself to be the world leader in terms of climate protection, and yet we haven't been able to secure policies and measures that would have protected us against this heavy dependence on fossil fuels. This is part of our responsibility. We haven't been looking at the long term. We haven't been putting in place the bold measures that were necessary to put in place. Moving now to the fourth reason, the social benefits. Very important to take these on board. We have seen the risk of creating a society which is increasingly fragmented between the ones who are wealthy and the others. is very huge. It's, for me, the #1 risk. We need really to be thinking very clearly about the consequences of the transformation that we want to apply. We have been talking before of the green transition, the energy transition. All good, but we have to be aware that these kind of transitions are going to lead to winners on the one hand, but also losers on the other hand. And there will be a fair share of losers in the society. We need to be providing to the most vulnerable ones opportunities, conditions for acceding to a situation where they could gain from the transition. They need to have a fair access to the collective benefits. Otherwise, we risk to have similar situations like France experienced some 3 years ago with the yellow vest. Another very important aspect of it is that if we want to succeed in the long run, because an energy transition or the climate protection are efforts that are going to have to remain in place and to stay for decades. It's a long-term engagement. If we want really to have a collective engagement effort towards climate protection or energy transition, we need to create conditions for a whole of society approach. We need to have each and everyone playing a role. This is essential because this transformation will imply inevitably important changes on the way we consume and on the way we live. This has to be well understood by all of us. The fifth reason is an economic one. There are many benefits, of course, and societies, businesses know that investing into sustainability approaches, products, services is almost a guarantee of being profitable on the market. New technologies have to be developed. What is clear from the ESG, let's say, criteria is that the companies who are investing into SDGs do generally perform better compared to their competitors. And let me open another perspective. By using the SDGs as a backbone for the decision making, for designing new solutions, new products, for implementing these solutions and projects, we are opening a new cultural perspective of moving away from an exclusive focus on economic growth. This has been the way countries have been piloted since the 50s, since the 60s. A focus on the GDP and only on the GDP. Yet, at the academic level, at university level, there's been a lot of research on moving beyond the GDP, but nothing has been done really to advance this kind of transformation. The SDGs, with what they mean, what they imply, are offering a possibility to rethink and reimagine the transformation of the economic system. I think this is an opportunity that has to be considered. Conclusions. I think we have insisted very much today on the consequences of our way of living, dramatic consequences. Sustainability is clearly not a goal which is pursued with the right level of intensity by the countries. We are facing a world of overlapping crises. They're already there, climate, biodiversity. And for me, the main concern that I have as a citizen is that the social tipping point will be hit very soon. If we are not careful enough to increase the cohesion of our society, to protect the most vulnerable, we will not be able to face the necessary transition towards a cleaner and more sustainable society. Now, the hopes that I have is that by taking sustainability into consideration and using it to focus and steer decision at each and every level, organizations, private or public, but also country level, governmental level. We are taking a high, let's say, protection for ourselves. We are putting in place, let's say, conditions that are highly protective against future shocks. And for me, this is an absolute way to go to mainstream sustainability and sustainability agenda into each and every organizations. For the Master on Mechanical Engineering for Sustainability, this is offering a great assets to students, as it is providing a unique opportunity to reinvent an old sector of activity, if I may say so, and trying to revitalize, to reinvent this sector of activity with new ideas, new approaches, new practices to enhance its profitability in the future, but also enhance the profitability while minimizing the negative externalities onto the whole society. Things like eco-design, resource efficient production means, sustainable sourcing, due diligence across the supply chain are among the sustainability challenges that have to be addressed by the European mechanical engineering sector to enhance its business opportunities on the international market. And I'm truly convinced that this master program is going to be one of the drivers to make this transformation possible. Thank you very much for your attention.
Eric, thank you very much for your presentation, for your motivational speech, which really touched important societal and ethical aspects that are behind the revolution that we will face in the next years and that we are already still living. Hopefully, it will deliver tangible results for the entire world. Thank you very much for your words, and thank you very much for squeezing this presentation within your several commitments. I know that you have to leave shortly, so thanks again for this. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So it's my pleasure now to introduce the next speaker, Mr. Leonardo Baldassarre. When previously we spoke about cooperation of the University of Florence with Nuovo Pignone, indeed he is one of the key elements in the sense that that he studied at the University of Florence, and he started then his career at Enel Research and Development Center, and then he shortly after he joined Nuovo Pignone, GE Oil and Gas at the time, and since then he covered several roles, and today he is executive LDR engineering. So just a few seconds, and I will take the presentation and share with the online audience. So that's it. And
okay.
Now the floor is yours.
First of all, thank you for having invited me to this opening. I think personally I'm very happy to be here and to talk about this subject. And also I think it's a great opportunity to share what we are doing as a company. Paolo was touching at the beginning what is the direction of the company, of our company, Hughes, Nuovo Pignone. And I will try to go a bit, not too much, but a bit more in detail of where we are looking for. Maybe if we can move to the next slide, please. First of all, a few numbers of our company. Yeah, we wait for... Okay. It's not working. Okay, so basically you see the main number. As Paolo was saying, we are present in more than 120 countries around the world. We have more than 54,000 employees around the world, and many of them are engineers, by the way. Then revenue have been 20.5 billion in a year, and we have the aim to grow. We have been developing our technology through patents. You see the number of patents that we have been doing, and we want to do more. And the field we are working and we are living of energy transition is getting more and more challenges and more opportunity of creating patents. Patents is the pillar of a company. If you want to have a solid company, you need to have patents. This is your intellectual property. That is one of the most important area and the most important pillar that you do have together with the people. So, if you go to the next slide, please. Now, what are our pillars? You see, we have oil field services. Clearly, the company has been built around the oil and gas, as we were saying before, and now is transitioning more and more toward the energy transition. So a more sustainable use of the energy resources. Then we have oil field equipment, digital solution. Digital means all the activity you can do to optimize the way you are working, the way you are using the resources also. And then turbo machinery. Maybe if we go to the next slide, turbo machinery for us means many things. So we range from products, compressors, centrifugal, reciprocating compressors, gas turbines, electric motors, expanders, steam turbines, valves, whatever you want, whatever we do. And then solutions, let's say the way we use these parts, I mean, these components, to create something that is working and can work reliably and can work in a clean way, even in the future. And these are the pillars, as Paolo was talking before, are the pillars where we are building our future. For example, if you think to energy transition, in many energy transition applications, you need to move fluids. So you still need to have compressors, either reciprocating, either centrifugal. You still need to have something that is generating power, so gas turbine. Maybe in the past we were used to feed with natural gas or with oil. Tomorrow we need to feed more and more with hydrogen, etc. But at the end is also the way we interact with the environment and how we integrate this machinery inside the plants that can make the difference. I don't want to spend too much time, but only to give you a flavor of what we are doing. Now, where we are committed today, these are some areas where we are committed and we are looking and we are even starting to do business in these areas. So we have some main pillars. One is carbon capture and sequestration. It is quite important because clearly there is the need, as we were reading also before, there is the need to continue to use for a while, for example, the natural gas. The way we need to use clearly needs to think also to reduce the emission from the natural gas. Maybe till now we have been burning natural gas and emitting the natural gas to the atmosphere. Tomorrow and today, basically, we are developing solution in order, first of all, to capture the CO2 from the natural gas, and then maybe to inject this natural gas in some ways, in order to avoid to release this to the atmosphere. And we are developing technology in this space, and maybe I will talk more about the way we are developing this technology. Then another important area is the hydrogen. You know, hydrogen is a clean fuel, if you want. At least the end part of the hydrogen is a clean fuel. because at the end is H2. When you burn H2, you produce energy and water at the end. So you have no pollution, basically. Clearly, the way you produce hydrogen can make the difference. I will have a slide to make and to understand better what it means. Then energy storage. Another important area of development is the way we store energy, because all of us, we want to go in the direction of renewable sources. Here, all of us, we like sun. I've recently installed it of my ceiling, I mean the solar panels, but clearly this you can put a battery, and this is a way where you can accumulate energy. But in some period of the time, you cannot use these renewable sources, either sun, either wind, etc. So you need to have ways that can accumulate energy. It can be batteries, it can be even CAES, compressed air energy storage, LAES, liquid air energy storage. It can be CO2 in several forms. But at the end, you need to have something that is able to provide you with energy, maybe during the night, during when it's raining, where there is no wind. And it's important to develop all this technology. It's not a given. So it's important to put brain, to put focus, and to understand what are the challenges. And then another important area is the flaring. What I was saying before, maybe in the past we were flaring gas, even from compressors or other machinery. Today we don't want to do it more. So at the end we need to have vent recovery systems that are taking the gas, maybe are cleaning up in some ways, or are simply injecting back to the machinery. So it's important to work on all these areas, because each of them has a contribute to the emissions at the end. This is the hydrogen value chain, and I go from the left to the right. Hydrogen production. You can produce hydrogen from many sources. You can start from sun, so solar panels. Then you have electrolyzers. From the electrolyzers, you start from water and you produce hydrogen. And this is called the green hydrogen, because you start from renewable. You can produce hydrogen even from methane. And in that case, clearly you produce, sooner or later you produce CO2. If this CO2 is injected or is not in any case emitted to the environment, we talk about blue hydrogen. If it is emitted in some way, is brown, I mean, brown hydrogen is not the blue hydrogen, I would say. In any case, when you produce hydrogen, you need to move this hydrogen through compressors. So there are machinery associated to this, normally driven by electric motor. Think about solar panels, electrolyzers, batteries, electric motor driven compressor. All is around electricity, and all is around a different way of moving this machinery. Clearly, sooner or later, you need some turbine or some steam or gas turbine, because you need to produce this electricity. It's not enough from the sun, but at the end, there will be a lot of push also around electrification. Once you have produced this hydrogen, normally it's in the range of 30 bar, 35 bar, you need to move this vector. Let's say, so you need to transport. If you decide to transport through simple hydrogen, it's quite complex, because hydrogen is embrittling the metallic material. It's creating many challenges that you'll be faced to work on, and we are doing a lot of R&D activity in that area. Normally, the main areas that the industry is looking for is through ammonia or a blend of natural gas. You have to use the existing network. Finally, you transport, you bring to the utilization area, or maybe you can liquefy in order to transport all around the world through ships. Or you can liquefy, you transport it, or you transport in a liquefied format the ammonia, And then by pyrolysis in the port where you receive, you transform back in hydrogen. Then we can discuss about the sustainability of all this transformation, but everything is starting from green, and finally, at least for now, till now, this source of energy is free, let's say, and is not finishing. And then we have the refueling station. So just to tell you, only this space where we are doing already business in that area is plenty of machinery, is plenty of engineering challenges, and is calling many talents. Maybe if we go to the next slide, this is the key part of my presentation, because everything is starting and ending with talents. At the end, is very good that we are opening this kind of course here, in particular in Florence. We have been doing many activities, as Paolo was mentioning before, in particular with the University of Florence, but not only. University of Florence is a key part of our company. We have very tight relation, either in terms of R&D activity, either in terms of talent injection. I'm not a talent, but I've been injected there. And it's important, and it's important today. This is in mechanical engineering, but my recommendation is to be broad. At the end, you saw several areas, and we range from electrolyzer to mechanical engineering aspect, very high-speed machinery, maybe hydrogen embrittlement, so materials. There are many ingredients today. Tomorrow, we don't know what is needed. So the important thing is to be open and to be ready to accept new challenges, even in areas that you have not been exploring. You take books, you start studying, you go to conference, you meet customers, you meet people, and at the end, you will get ready for next challenges. So today you are studying a part, is the starting point. Tomorrow you need to continue to study. The important point is to be curious and to continue to learn. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your perspective in the turbo machinery sector. I know that there are some students that have already chosen the curriculum on energy technologies. So I hope that tomorrow, in the future, they will come to you to build all of this together.
And we need them. Thank you very much.
So now we change sector. We go to the automotive sector, and I would like to introduce Mr. David Storer. David Storer is a mechanical engineer as well. He studied in Southampton and got his PhD in Manchester. And I met him when he worked at Fiat Research Center. He worked there for 28 years before moving to CLEPA. And now CLEPA is the European Association of Automotive Suppliers, and he is the director of research there. So he will give us a good perspective in this new sector. So, David.
Yes, thank you. Let me just share my presentation with you.
I see it. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much. It's a great pleasure for me to be here today, albeit remotely, and talk to you about the growing relevance of sustainability in the automotive industry. So thank you very much to the previous speakers for really highlighting the importance of sustainability in general for our society. Today I'm not going to talk in general terms. I'm going to focus a little bit more about the automotive industry and about the challenges we're facing there. Just as a way of introduction, CLEPA, the association that I represent, the European Association of Automotive Suppliers, is really quite important in the automotive industry because we represent all of the supply chain, and we have really thousands of companies across Europe in the automotive supply chain. And yeah, it's really important also to highlight the fact that there's a tremendous investment in research and innovation in this sector. And the suppliers are very much part of that. Often we think of the vehicle manufacturers, but behind the vehicle manufacturers, you have this whole supply chain. And we're very, how can I say, enthusiastic about the opportunity to also contribute to this question of sustainable development, very often in direct collaboration with the vehicle manufacturers and indeed other stakeholders involved in this challenge. So yeah, as I say, it's a very important sector, particularly in terms of the jobs and employment, and also the investment that we have in research and development. Very, very important for Europe in general. And CLEPA covers all of this sector. Indeed, if we think of the average vehicle that comprises over 30,000 parts, you can understand the role and the reason why perhaps there are so many suppliers involved in this industry. Now, the challenges we're facing are very clear for us all. Very often, the automotive industry, along with other providers of mobility solutions, such as the aerospace industry, today we are portrayed as perhaps being the bad guys. And of course, in a way, that's the case. But a lot of work is being done today across the sectors, across the mobility sectors, to improve the sustainability of our vehicles, the circularity of our vehicles. And of course, we're all engineers, we're in this together. We need to find solutions. We understand the problems, but I think, with your choice of mechanical engineering for sustainability, what you're doing is you're also indicating that you're willing to help find the solutions to these incredible problems that we face today in terms of sustainability, sustainable development, and in general, the impact on the environment. So when we talk about sustainability, one immediately thinks of the environmental perspective in terms of emissions, energy usage, waste, and the consumption of water. But there are other aspects as well, as some of the other speakers have touched on as well. So there's a social aspect as well, looking at diversity and inclusion, for example, health and safety, in particular education and development. That's really important to everything we do. And then there's also the governance aspect, how we manage this and how we guarantee safety and quality, and how we are also able to include the customer, include the users in what we do, and make sure the users are satisfied at the end of the day. It's all very important, very, very important to have this inclusion also from the user side. And that's a bit of a challenge for us because it represents something of a change with the, let's say, business as usual, how we've developed products in the past. Today, increasingly, we need to find a way to really engage with the user and understand their needs, not only in terms of sustainability, but in all aspects as well. And this is going to drive forward, certainly, the development process in our industry and indeed in all industries. Just looking specifically at the automotive sector, this is a bit of a busy graph. I don't really expect to go into detail here. The key message here is that we need to look at all aspects of the development and design of a product and how that product is used in terms of its impact on the environment. So very often now in the sector, we talk about the life cycle analysis of a vehicle. If we look now at the life cycle analysis of an electric car, this is what this graph is demonstrating here. What we have to understand is there's an impact in terms of emissions from all parts of the process, right from cradle to grave, right to the end of life of the vehicle. Incidentally, one of the leaders in the LCA of vehicles in the automotive domain in Europe is the Department of Industrial Engineering at the University of Florence. It's really well known across Europe, particularly the automotive industry, as being one of the, let's say, the leaders, one of the reference points for LCA of vehicles in general. But I think the key message is here that it's a process that involves many different stakeholders right across the chain. And again, the message is that we're all in this together. So if we look specifically at battery electric vehicles, so when we hear talk about the future of the industry and how it's going to become more sustainable, there's very often reference today towards battery electric vehicles. And it seems like this is a silver bullet. This is going to solve all of our problems. Let me just say that, at least from our perspective, there's a lot of work, a lot of engineering work that still needs to be done in terms of battery electric vehicles, and in particular, the battery itself. Now, here on the right, you see just a few images of battery systems. The battery system obviously consists of a number of cells, many cells very often, but these are just components in a wider system that includes also solutions for the thermal management of the battery cells, the mechanical integrity, let's say, of the system, and also, of course, the electric and electronic control part of the system. So when we look at a full battery system, we're talking about a complex system that very often weighs several hundred kilos as well. So it's a big, heavy system that we need to really optimize in terms of its engineering performance. So as I say, with the growing demand for battery electric vehicles, there's the environmental impact of the extraction and processing of the raw materials is really important, expected to grow. And of course, we need to look at how the batteries themselves are produced in terms of the energy, because there's a lot of energy actually absorbed in the production of batteries as well. And look at the sustainable materials, make sure the materials used are ethically sourced and are recyclable. But in Europe, of course, you know, we're not sufficient or self-sufficient yet in terms of the production of battery cells. We're still looking to the Far East for the production of batteries. Now, Europe is trying to catch up here, but in a way, our hands to some extent are tied, at least for the current chemistries of batteries, because the Far East is far and away the biggest producer of battery cells today. But nevertheless, we need to really focus on what we can do in terms of battery recycling, how we can design these battery systems to be recycled, and really make sure that we do everything we can possibly do to ensure that these systems are circular. And this also involves ensuring that not only the manufacturing and the use of these battery systems, but the whole management of these battery systems in some way is taken care of, because we will need to ensure that they don't kind of get lost in the system or get, let's say, transferred to other countries. We need to manage the process in such a way that we can, at the end of the life, bring them back and then recycle them. And this is really important also for the raw materials, because raw materials, obviously, it's a critical aspect. There's a limited supply. We need to make sure that the recycling process is going to give us back the materials that we need for new battery systems in the future. And also, you probably hear a lot of talk about the second life of automotive batteries, how automotive batteries, once they've been used in the vehicle, can then be used again for a second life for, let's say, the storage of electrical energy, particularly for renewable sources, because the generation of renewable electricity is often intermittent. And so there's a lot of talk today about the second life of automotive batteries. In a way, this is conflicting to some extent with the recycling of batteries, but we'll wait to see, you know, if this second life of automotive batteries really does become an important application for automotive batteries in the future. And of course, there are other considerations that need to be taken into account when we look at batteries. So basically, the message here is there's a lot of engineering still needs to be done for battery electric vehicles, particularly in terms of the optimization and design for recycling of the battery system. Now, another point I just want to quickly mention is also the question of material selection for the vehicle, and in particular the use of plastics on cars and vehicles. A tremendous amount of the vehicle is already reused or recycled, about 90%, according to statistics in 2019. But most of that is the metals. Instead, the plastic is usually disposed of in some way or downcycled. So again, a lot of work still needs to be done in terms of how we manage the materials on vehicles, in particular the plastics. Also because plastics are forecast to take a greater share of the vehicle in the future as we try to move towards new types of vehicles, smaller vehicles perhaps for the urban applications, which need to be lighter as well. And so it's tempting to use a greater share of plastic also from that perspective. But the end-of-life vehicle directive, which is being put forward by the European Commission and is due very soon, next year, is expected to raise the need to have more recycled content in vehicles and in particular plastic. So absolutely there's this drive to making the vehicles, the selection of the materials in the vehicles also as circular as possible. Now this is a generic image that I'm sure you've seen many times about the circular economy. It doesn't only apply to the vehicle industry, the automotive industry, it applies to all industries. But of course, the automotive industry is very much, let's say, in the eye of the hurricane here, in terms of needing to become as circular as possible in terms of raw materials, production processes, but also the management of the waste, really trying to reduce or eliminate waste as much as possible. And in this circular economy approach, from my perspective, there's an absolute need to look at renewable materials, materials from renewable sources, and in particular, look more closely at the possibility to use bioplastics. Now, there's a lot of work that's been done already in this area by different vehicle manufacturers and suppliers. But let's say most of it is still at the level of prototypes and demonstrators. We still need to take that leap into bringing in these new concepts and new materials into the mass production of vehicles. And again, we need engineers, we need mechanical engineers that are really focused on sustainability to address these challenges, very concrete challenges, and we need to move very, very quickly on this. So in summary, I think it's very clear that the impact on the environment and ensuring sustainable development is extremely important. It's probably the most important challenge that's facing the human race today. A lot of discussion obviously is taking place in these days in COP27. But what we need is to perhaps move beyond the great speeches and understanding the importance of the situation to actually finding solutions. And that's what we are trying to do. That's what we're doing in the automotive industry. And that's why we need more mechanical engineers that really are focusing on sustainability. And the educational aspect is so important because today there is a lack of technical expertise. There's an absolute urgent need for specialized education programs and training programs, exactly like the one which is being set up now in the Department of Industrial Engineering at the University of Florence. So, as graduates of the Mechanical Engineering for Sustainability program at the University of Florence, you have a huge opportunity, a tremendous opportunity to become true pioneers in this field. And it's rapidly becoming of overwhelming importance. And CLEPA is absolutely very proud and happy to be able to endorse this mechanical engineering program. And yes, I salute you. I commend your choice for this program. So thank you very much indeed. And if anybody has any questions or would like to contact me in future, there is my email address. Thank you.
Thank you, David, for your perspective in the automotive area. And indeed, when we will have the traineeship of the second year, I think we could have a good partnership if our students would like to develop the international dimension and go abroad for the traineeship and thesis. In the case, I will bother you asking for connections.
Absolutely. I look forward to that, honestly. As soon as we have some graduates coming through, please come back to me. Anybody who's interested in working in the automotive industry, certainly I can provide many contacts there and we'll be happy to help.
Okay, thanks again. Thanks again for for your speech. So now 2 minutes technical pause. We load the last technical presentation before I go to say a few words about the master. So in the meanwhile, I invite the last speaker, Matteo Mantellassi. Yeah, please take a seat here, and I will look for the presentation. Yeah, Matteo, he studied business and management economics at the University of Florence, and he is a principal chief executive officer at Manteco.
Yes. Thank you everybody for inviting me here and sharing our experience in our business. We are a textile company born in 1941, and the company started in 1943. We are I'm the third generation, and I'm a co-CEO together with my brother Marco of Manteco, which I introduced a little bit. We are the third generation. My grandfather was a pioneer in sustainability because he started recycling old blankets coming from military garments. So he didn't have so much money. So at that time in 1941, there was no possibility to have materials coming from far away because of the Second World War. So he thought that he thought to use something that was already existing. So he went to a small town close to Naples, and he bought some blankets that he started with many trials to recycle into a new fabric that he was then he started to sell these fabrics, and I mean, this was the beginning of our history. And so in the beginning of 2000, me and my brother, when everybody was going to produce fabrics all over the world, we did the opposite choice to produce everything in Italy and to make our recycled wool something that was going into the luxury, into something, because at that time the recycled wool was a very poor fabric that was used only when you didn't achieve the price with the virgin wool. So we did the opposite thinking. So we thought that our history was something that was coming from our DNA, and was something that we should take as an opportunity to develop something that nobody was done before. So we start, you know, the textile has a very different steps from the raw material to the final fabric and to the final garments. So we start little by little to make we recycle pre and post consumer garments and fabrics. So we start selecting and taking some connection with, especially with the American market, where the culture of throwing away garments was more ahead than here. So we take some connection with some organization in the United States, and we try to make a new business model, no, where from the collection of an old material we could achieve into a new and transparent new luxury recycled wool fabric. So I mean, this step we took almost 20 years to achieve the top of the fabric that I'm here to share, because we are doing now more than 1,000 colors. Now you can go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, this is a little introduction of the history that we already talked. So we started I mean, there was a lot of luxury brand that believe in our work, and they need also our fabric because now they need to use materials that are much more sustainable. And what was also important, it was innovation that we have done into the process, but also in how we study the impact of our fabric. Because until Manteco started, there was not scientific data, there was not innovation in the process of recycling. So we have done really an important work for all the fashion business. We are here situated in Prato, so not far away from here. We work with around 40 of the main university of fashion university, where we teach the eco design to the new designers that will bring the eco design into the future. So because education for us is the most important thing. When you do something, you project something, you need always to think not only so you have a great opportunity now because there is a field that has been untouched for many years, a field where you need to think about CO2, so how the reduction of CO2, the reduction of water, the reduction of energy. And for example, our design of our textile design that are in the Manteco, it's already more than 15 years that they develop beautiful fabrics, but not only with the beauty inside, but with a lot of eco things inside the fabrics. For example, the fabric has to be recyclable, so all our fabric are recyclable. All our fabric are made to last as long as possible. So the durability is very important. And also the fabric has to use materials that have scientific data that prove that are less impact than other materials, compared materials. But the designers, the textile designers, they thank us because of this, because developing something only which is beautiful is not enough now, and when they develop the new fabrics, they feel much more glory to design this kind of fabrics. So you can go ahead. This is we are part of Ellen MacArthur Foundation. We are the only textile mill that is producing fabric. That part of Ellen MacArthur Foundation is very important in the fashion business because Ellen MacArthur she was a sailor. She was the first to do the tour of the world with the boat, of a sailing boat. When she came back, she stopped everything and she said, I need to create a foundation for circularity because our oceans are full of plastic, are full of shit. So I need to do something. I need to stop this development. So she started this foundation. Now all the big brands and ourselves are part of this foundation. And we every one time per month we organize a meeting, and fashion has to build a new business model. We cannot go on like this, and we need to really move forward very quickly. So we work with Bocconi, for example, together with the economic part. We are really forward on all our steps. We can go ahead. This is our wool is the brand name of our wool that we produce, is coming from a circular economy, so it's a recycled wool. We go from 100% wool to 100% cashmere. So it's a really a step forward of our industry. You can go ahead. Okay, these are all our colors. We produce, these colors are produced with our recipe process. So we don't use any kind of water, any kind of only electricity and mechanically. Because we recuperate old garments which are already colored. So we mix together different colors like a painter, no? They mix together different colors to do a new color. So the impact of this, you can go on, this is the process that we do in our company. We have a circular economy lab where we study all our colors, all the materials that we need to recover. These are the colors that is blending in our machine. Okay, so you can go ahead also. This is the impact of, so you can see minus 99%, because the wool is a material that is very high impact. If you start from the ground, if you start from the animal until the end, the life cycle assessment, LCA, is very impact. But it's a material that can be recycled many, many times. So we are also, from this part, we are working with scientists to make them understand that the calculation that is done now is not enough. We need to calculate the durability of the product. We need to calculate the recyclability of the product. And we are working together to make an important, before there was the automotive business, no? That was, I don't remember, David was explaining, yes. And it's very curious because we talk more or less the same language in this moment, because we work really with data. We're working with a lot of analysis. Yesterday I was presenting this material in Ferrari because we did 100% wool, the most durable 100% wool of the world, and they need to change materials inside the cars, and they tried our materials and they passed all the proof, the test. So I was discussing with them some opportunity, and this was incredible if I was thinking even 2 or 3 years ago. So we are really giving a turning point to our business. You imagine the wool is also biodegradable. There is no microplastic coming out from its fire, is unbelievable, fire resistant. So has, of course, the petrol has changed in the last 15 years, all the business, because polyester or nylon, it costs much less than wool. But the opportunity that our world is giving, our planet is giving, is big. So we are trying. Okay, you can go on. These are all the impact, environmental impact. We have done LCA and EPD, environmental product declaration, with the University of Turin. We use a lot of university. We cooperate a lot with university. Now we are working with Leeds University to experiment our materials in terms of more physical test. So we are really going deeply into innovation. Okay. Okay, our production, this is very interesting also for you. Our production is zero waste. So what we waste is reintroduced internally into the materials, the raw materials, to be produced. So we are zero waste. We have zero waste production. This is the starting point of our project of circularity. Then you can go on. These are the process where we are taking back from scraps, the scraps from spinning, from coning, warping. To make a fabric is a long process. It seems easy, but it's very, very long process. And in each process, we have a group of people that they take back the scrap of this process, and we take back into a new material. Okay. this is the sustainable design that I was talking before. Is our designers, they really designing into innovation, not only beauty, because for us beauty is the key factor of choosing a fabric, but is also working durability and recyclability. Okay, you can go on. Yes, this is what we could recuperate from 4% to 20% of the fabric is usually wasted during manufacturing process. And so we developed this new project, which are, you can go on. This is project 43, where we have a logistic that is going into the all garment makers to recuperate all the scraps during the when they produce the garments. They cut the fabric, and all the scraps that come out, they are recovered by us and taken back. Especially because the fabric that we sell is designed to be recyclable. So the design part is very important. Okay, this is all the process that we are working for this project. Okay, this is every year up to 30% of all the clothes that are produced eventually remain unsold. So there is a big opportunity also to recuperate garments that they are unsold, and now they are thrown away all around in Chile, in Africa. They are full of desert, full of clothes. You will see, I think, in the next year, a beautiful documentary that was filming also in our company, and which of one of the most important Oscar producer that is filming a movie for the fashion industry, and she was going in Africa and also in Chile to see all this desert. And this is the project 53, where we are taking back all garments or garments that are unsold. Okay, so this is the part also where it's important to eco-design the garment. Okay, you can go on. This is all the process. And then, I mean, we have a website where it is very transparent. And but what I want to say to these young people, and to be curious and to think always that, I mean, now you have a huge opportunity, because all the business model of all the category of the business are changing, and you have if you have you need only to choose with your passion which sector you want, where you want to work, and then on that sector to be curious how to avoid water, CO2, electricity, and also the social responsibility is also important. So the people that working on the machine to be always in security, to be always to have the opportunity to stay well, to stay focused also on the work they are doing. So I mean, you have a big opportunity also in the fashion, because we need a lot of innovation. So if you have any question, or if you want to visit us, we are here very close to Florence, and we have a circular economy lab where you can visit, and we can show you what I was telling today. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your presentation, because it's really interesting. I mean, engineers can really contribute to the implementation of sustainability. So now there is just one last presentation, which is mine, that is is due before the end of this event. So let's go back to the beginning, to the starting point. We met here today because we have decided to start a new master program. And the idea was to to talk about sustainability and also to make a check with companies, with different industrial sectors, if we were in the right direction. So what is, a few words on the master. So what is MES, Mechanical Engineering for Sustainability? Sorry. There are technical issues. So what is this master? It is a 2-year master, so in well inserted in the Bologna process, in the 3++2, not a 1-year master. And since today you saw that there are different aspects of sustainability, we decided to activate 3 curricula on design, on energy technologies, and on mobility. And this is a great commitment. Sorry. And we started with this idea for several reasons, and I hope that you will recognize in the actions, in the lessons that will follow, or other ones will follow after you. So the basic idea was that we wanted to develop new professional profiles. So by joining this master, I hope that you will share with us this view. And the idea of these new professional profiles is, as many speakers have said today, because there is an ongoing ecological transition, and there is the need to have new people with different competences to support this. But we also thought about new ways of transferring knowledge. So this idea, this new master, is really based on the idea of learning by making, and you will see in different approaches during the 2 years. Then so English because it's a door to share the experience with other people from other countries. So it's a door on an international dimension of your career. The organization of the master, of MES. So there is a central area of competences that is really given during the first year of the master. And already towards the end of the first year, we will differentiate in the 3 different curricula that I mentioned before. So design, energy technologies, and mobility. And before going into, I would say, the keywords of the different parts of this master, I want to just highlight some educational approaches that indeed are linked to what I was saying before, the learning by making. So basically, we have 2 project works, one in the first year and the second semester of the first year, that is focused on learning and practicing soft skills, because you will need to share your ideas, to communicate your ideas, to receive inputs, to work in teams. And at least in our department, this is the first time that we include such skills in a master program, explicitly, I mean. And then there is the project work of the second year. There will be more than one. We have in total 6 different project works. These are technical ones, and you will have the opportunity to choose among the educational offer of each curriculum. Basically, the objective of this project work is to develop a practical activity, so with an interdisciplinary approach and working in teams, so at least 2 people for a project. And then we would like also to have the involvement of industrial experts, both in the definition of the design specifications, but also in the development of the project. And this is really something that we see as a first step before the traineeship and the thesis that we hope that you will do, that you will develop in partnership with companies. So that's why the title of this slide is A Path to Job Placement. And then let's go into the program of the master. So if you have a look at the website of the student guide, there are a lot of tables, and I didn't want to show these tables today here. So I just created some word clouds, and these are the keywords of the first year common courses. So basically you have product, life cycle, assessment, you have teamwork, transversal skills, you have policies, you have regulations, and also David Storer mentioned new regulations coming next year. So regulations are probably not so funny, but are really fundamental for the development of your skills, because you will have to work and to comply with these regulations. So it's necessary knowledge then to apply and develop probably more interesting things. So you have energy, but you have also the opportunity to choose during the first year also other elective courses on power electronics, management of water and waste, which, for instance, this topic is really important also in the textile sector. But let's go on. If we stay in the curriculum design, then we go into more traditional topics, really finite elements, but also digital twins of systems. We have lightweighting, we have additive manufacturing, we have new production technologies. So all of these are within this curriculum, and the project work is on re-engineering a product or a subsystem, so as a direct application of what you have learned up to that moment. We have the energy technologies. So here there is wind in representation of energy technologies. So in this curriculum, we have courses for the development of new products. So there is the big word innovation. There is environmental impact. We have energy systems, renewable energies, energy conversion technologies that were mentioned in the beginning of this session. We have, again, mechatronic systems. We have air pollutants, so the study of the generation of air pollutants and their dispersion. There is also the necessity to have an integration with the grid, because the energy that will be generated have to be transmitted and stored, again, as was said before. And I go then to the last curriculum. Here there is a representation of mobility. There is a car, but obviously we are not only thinking about car, also motorcycles, but also public transport. For instance, urban rail transport is a course that you will have the opportunity to choose during the second year. There is mobility as a system. So there is mobility planning, a study also on transport systems. But again, there is the fact that everything needs to be sustainable. So an attention to end of life, as mentioned by several speakers today, lightweighting, because in the automotive sector, lightweighting is a really important trend. But then if we are producing and developing new things, there is also the need of testing them. So there is a testing of mechanical parts, but also testing in declined as electric testing, because if we have electric vehicles, we need to have both competences. So that was my presentation. I made a long story short because the story started 1.5 years ago, and I had to summarize everything in a few minutes. But I hope that the story will be a long story for you, that you choose to share this vision with us by enrolling in this master. And I hope that among you there are also people that will be interested in doing the same choice next year, and that probably hopefully this will spread through across new academic years, with more and more students interested in this master. These are the reference, the official website of the master, and the official email. If you need information, just write, and myself or the delegate for the incoming students will contact you and fix an appointment. Thank you very much. So thank you to all the speakers that I here in presence, but also to all the speakers that have joined and that have shared with us their views. I hope that all of you have grasped something, and that at least a few words could give you an idea of what could be your future career once that you will end this master program. So thank you for being here today, and see you in the classroom.